Welcome in the ring, folks. Welcome in the ring. It is not our usual broadcast in studio because, believe it or not, we are still on the East Coast at Golden Grove. We're still on the East Coast there. Happy to be with a very lovely, warm family there. We spent the day at Golden Grove. As you know, nothing was moving along the East Coast. We spent the day here talking with folks, talking with residents, getting a sense of what is happening here. And we're so happy that you guys are here with us. Share the broadcast wherever you guys are joining us from for this In the Ring special. This is the East Coast standoff. And the folks are out here protesting, of course, justice for Quindon Bacchus. And that's what we're going to be discussing this evening, the events of today all along the East Coast and nationally, where we are, what's happening, and what you should be doing and how you should be thinking. At this time, I'm going to be joined by some guests this evening as well. Privileged again, folks, to be along the East Coast at Golden Grove. You know, this is ground zero for what's happening now. Folks are asking for justice for Quindon Bacchus, who was fatally shot by law enforcement. Just was listening to the leader of the opposition on Politics One and One with David Hines and his guests, which included the leader of the opposition, and he characterized this as murder, the murder of Quindon Bacchus, the leader of the opposition, as you know, is overseas at this time and couldn't be on the ground here, even though he much wanted to be, and is going to be here as soon as he gets back. But characterizing what law enforcement did to Quindon Bacchus as a murder. That is what he said, plain and simple, and is being protected by the perpetrator. Is being The murderer is being protected by the authorities. Guys, you're now coming on. Share the broadcast. We're going to be reflecting on some of what transpired during the course of today. And again, so very happy to have each and every one of you guys with us this evening. Share the broadcast. Share. Wherever you folks are joining us from this evening. Again, so glad that you are here with us. So very glad that you guys are here with us. Thanks for joining us. Share the broadcast. For instance, we're going to have the opposition chief whip joining us very shortly, Christopher Jones. We're going to also have attorney at law, Darren Wade is going to be joining us this evening. And again, we apologize. We're not in studio this evening because we are still on the East Coast. We were so privileged to get some quiet space from a family here on the East Coast to do the broadcast this evening. We are so very privileged to be able to do that. And we want to thank you guys for joining us and for allowing us to come into your homes in this way. Hearing a lot of conjecture out there, a lot of untruths, a lot of blatant lies. Basically, a lot of blatant lies being done, being said and being circulated out there. But we're so privileged that you guys are here, and we beg your indulgence. We are not in our usual studio setting. We couldn't be with all of this happening on the ground, and much of some of the East Coast is still impassable. When we started the broadcast, we could hear gunshots being fired at close to where we are here in Golden Grove. Law enforcement trying to clear one of the bridges there of debris and to disperse some of the guys who are adamant they want justice for Quindon Bacchus, and they aren't moving unless justice is had. We can hear gunshots being fired. We know a lot of folks were hit with rubber bullets, with pellets. The police seem to be firing indiscriminately. We know one mother, a child, a student, was injured by rubber bullets being fired on protesters there, almost indiscriminately. And folks, wherever you guys are joining us from this evening, please take the opportunity to share the broadcast. And also, you folks, you know what you gotta do when you come through. Smash that emoji button for us. Who vex, folks? Smash that emoji button, share the broadcast, and we are so happy that you folks are going to be joining us this evening. We're going to be talking about what's happening on the ground here. Good to see so many of you. Again, we apologize. We're not in our usual studio setting, but based on what's happening on the ground here, we needed to be where we are to ensure that we get all the information for you. We had a 2.5 hour broadcast earlier in the day, and I repeatedly said throughout that broadcast that people are angry, people are upset. People are very, very, very angry as a community here that Quindon Bacchus, a resident of Golden Grove, was murdered in this most heinous way. They tell us he was shot once, in front, and then he was shot 5 times to his back, 5 times to his back. And we heard people characterize this as personal. People say this is personal when somebody is shot in this way. And I see some folks have been trying to mischaracterize some of what transpired early on. It was mayhem on the ground here, as the protesters again were just making their feelings heard. People were saying lots of stuff on the ground here, and somebody stepped in front of the camera and at one point and perhaps uttered some foolishness. We weren't paying attention to all of it, folks. People were saying a lot of stuff on the ground here, and I was made to understand uh, hours later, by folks who watch what we do and monitor what we do for us, that somebody was talking about harming the president. And those really and truly are reprehensible comments. That is not about what we do. It's not about who we are, and it's not about what protests should be harming people and threatening to harm the president. No, no, no. Our politics is quite different from that, and that is very, very regrettable, that was said. But I try to get a sense from the folks on the ground here, who was the fellow who would have made these unfortunate comments, and they said it's somebody who's of sound mind. And so again, very, very regrettable comments. No protest in this country should be about harming people. No protest in this country should be about threatening to harm anyone. So again, most regrettable comments, based on what some information that I would have seen circulating, and I saw people attributing those comments to me. Lots of people. There were thousands of people along the East Coast, from as far as Golden Grove, high up on the East Coast, right on to where we stopped our broadcast at Annandale. Thousands of people saying all sorts of things. We couldn't monitor everything everybody say. It was a live broadcast. People were close by, stepping in front of the camera at various points, and saying a lot of stuff. We couldn't monitor all of it. We couldn't edit it, all of it on the ground in real time. And again, those comments, at least from what we have seen, were very, very unfortunate. And again, I want to repeat, I did not aid it, I did not abet it, I did not counsel or procure anyone to make any statement in relation to the life of the president or anyone else. And again, I say, harming persons as part of your democratic right to protest cannot be condoned, must not be condoned, or threatening to harm anyone. That aside, folks, lots transpired on the East Coast today. Lots transpired on the East Coast, and we want to give you guys a sense of all of that. That's going to be what our program is based on, folks, reflecting on what transpired today. And for that, folks, I can see in studio, Attorney at Law Darren Wade is going to be joining us. I want to thank the thousands of you who are joining us. Share the broadcast, smash that emoji button for us, folks, and let's get a move on. Again. And this cuts across political. I want to be very, very clear. Protests cannot be about physically harming people, and protests cannot be about threatening to harm people either. And those kinds of activities and those kinds of comments are reprehensible, and again, should not be condoned. We can do our politics, we can protest in our democracy without having to resort to that. That being said, folks, boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. That being said, folks, boots on the ground. I do have Attorney at Law Darren Wade with me. I think he's getting ready. And I want to bring up, we ain't wasting time tonight, folks. We ain't wasting time, because one of the things I want to ask, one of the questions I was disappointed that Irfan Ali did not meet to Golden Grove. I was quite disappointed. If folks in other areas have grievances, go visit them. All that is well. But the folks at Golden Grove definitely got grievances. And where are we on that? Folks, I'm so privileged to have with me Darren Wade, and we're going to have another guest joining us quite soon. Attorney at Law A very good evening, sir, and welcome. Darren, please put on your mic for us. Attorney at law. Wait, put on your mic for us.
Yes, I'm sorry. Good night to you, Sherrod, and your listeners.
Good night to you, Darren. We're at Ground Zero Council. You saw the day's events unfold, much like the rest of the nation. Give us your initial reaction.
Well, Sherrod, first of all, like you're in Borbies. You didn't make it back to Georgetown.
I'm actually still on the East Coast. Ground Zero
Oh, you're
on the
still on
East
the East
Coast.
Coast. I
Believe
see,
it or not,
I see,
yes,
I see, I see. Oh,
yes.
okay.
We are we are with our
Well,
people, Darren.
that's very good struggle. We share the struggle with them. What
Yes.
definitely is happening on the East Coast is very disturbing. But some of what transpired today. But Sherrod, let us be fair. For the past about 3 weeks now, because it's like close to 20 days since this thing happened, on or about 3 weeks since this incident happened. I visited the FIA, I issued statements for them. I saw them on the streets. They're protesting, they had vigils and so forth. No response from the government. Um, a friend Harley didn't visit the family for Quindon Bacchus. Today I see him rush to Popo as if even though that the Quindon Bacchus life has no value or it has no worth. And those
Hmm.
stalls, though it was wrong, and as you mentioned, we do not support any violence or looting at all. But certainly in our dealings, we cannot be that flagrantly biased.
Correct.
It cannot happen. I think it is wrong. I believe as a president, you must be a president for all of Guyana. You must be consistent with your dealings. It must not, the one color or the creed or the race should not matter. And clearly, from the attitude of Irfan Ali today, it is only reasonable for one to conclude that he's biased all of Guyana.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he needs to be
This,
careful. He
yeah,
needs to be careful.
yeah, and we're going to be examining
You
some
know,
of
uh,
what he has said during the
I,
course
I
of the
I
day.
want to touch on
Those
another.
events unfolded.
I want to teach on an. I want to touch on another point.
Go right ahead,
I
Council.
want to touch on another. Yes. Um. I see him again. I done this on another program. My brother and friend. Who we share the current. We shared the Christian room with at the University of Guyana. We are all there. Mr. Samuels Madas.
Mhm.
I have the greatest respect for Mr. Madas. Today I his post. He was saying that this issue is reminiscent of what happened to the Henry boys, and it is correct. It is reminiscent. It's similar. Um, you know, I commented that whenever you must remember something to the extent whenever you are singing about one Guyana, and certainly he didn't take too much liking of that. But we also have a responsibility as to our people. We as if we believe that we're religious, we have a responsibility to our religion, and if we are promoting, we must not be used because you would know that a lot of singers, Sharon, especially in the United States of America, refuse to participate in the Donald Trump rally, and so it must not be a charade.
Correct. Correct.
A person
Correct.
and sing and shout one Guyana and one this cannot give you one Guyana because our people will be crying out for justice, equal rights and justice. Everybody want peace, as I saw writers say. But what happened to equal rights and justice? We need to ensure, and I trust Mr. Whenever he's meeting with Irfan Ali, to that many persons are still waiting for this
Yeah.
for the flood relief grants. You
Yeah.
know, the policeman
But
who
but
was
but but
beaten
Darren,
at the
even
Delara
before we
Bridge.
go there, it was it was it was Irfan Ali who promised, for instance, justice for or in Boston. We leave no stone unturned to bring the culprits to justice for the murder of the Henry boys. Where are we on that? The promises of Irfan Ali seem not to be worth the paper it is written on.
Well, I don't take nothing seriously that comes out of that man's mouth. He has no substance. And I believe the majority of Guyana is aware. He has no power. He has no authority. He's what they taught us in school is magma, molten materials in the earth crust. That comes out whenever there's a volcano. Nothing. He's just there. We know who is the real president of Guyana. We know who has the power. If you want some assistance, whether or not it's a contract, you need a government contract, and so forth, we all know who to call. So it's certainly not a fan.
We know who got all the support. We know who handles all the agreements.
Yeah. Yes. And Sharon, in addition to that, it was very sad to see you being attacked in the matter that you wore by Chronicle News. And very soon, legal proceedings, when I return to Guyana, legal proceedings will be instituted against Chronicle News for what they did today. Because they said that you aided and abetted that man for making those pronouncements. And Sherrod, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if that man was planted there by the PPP.
I would not be surprised.
Because the PPP is known. There are for the years, Sherrod, to plan the operatives to create problems. And then they come in and they go to voters, look what them black do, look what them do. And that was achieved today. I saw a lot of comments today, and persons they ought to be reminded when the school children, those God angels, as my grandmother would say, you would know the term God angel and our listeners. We talk to babies.
Yeah.
We call them God angel. We say because they're innocent. Because of the innocent, we refer to them. When those God angels, what crime did they commit? All they were doing was heading to school in a government bus, and they were stoned, the head were burst, and so forth. That name Irfan Ali never came out that was wrong. We remember and his actions of racking the vehicle of former Minister of Health.
Oh yes.
When they attacked the motorcade of David Granger.
Should that be treasonous?
Who is Irfan Ali? Who is he? Shouldn't that be treasonous? Shouldn't that? You attack in a lot of countries, Irfan Ali would have been a dead man, because when you're attacking the motorcade of a president, the protection agency normally would fire. It's imminent harm. That was imminent harm to the life and safety of our president, as he then was David Granger. Irfan Ali has moral authority or in a place at all to make any pronouncements that relates to treason. Well, he didn't make anything but treason. He said he didn't condemn it.
Very well. Council, I want to get your reaction to some comments attributed to Irfan Ali. Where people are saying you only show up certain times. We ain't seen you. Just recently, a resident accosted Mr. Jaglio and said, y'all aren't doing nothing for us. He tell the woman, she talking nonsense. This was also had on the East Coast. Folks saying we only see y'all certain times. Otherwise than that, we can't see y'all. Some people's only funeral just come out. Listen to what some residents said on the East Coast. Irfan Ali, just today. I want to get your reaction on the other side.
He's human being, right? We need to see you more often. Because look, listen.
This is my third visit.
Listen, Mr. President. There is plenty things.
There's some community I didn't get to go here.
There is plenty things.
No, I will take you up on that because you know the truth.
There is plenty things.
You know the truth. And your conscience will guide you to the truth one day.
What's this views down, President? This abrasive views down. Trying to convince us that he's a grounds man. Council?
Well, Sherrod, to be fair, I didn't hear the clip. To be fair, I don't know the other viewers heard it. But
all right, let me see if we can play it back.
is human being, you know. Right?
Third visit.
We need to see you more often. Because look, listen,
This is my third visit.
listen, Mr. President. There is plenty things.
There's some community I didn't get to go here.
There is plenty things.
No, I will take you up on that because you know the truth.
There is plenty
You
things.
know the truth.
There
And
is-
your conscience will guide you to the truth one day.
There is
Yep, yep. That was it. Did he get a chance there? You know, he said
I
that,
just
you know,
thinking probably is my connection. But you,
yeah.
probably
tell
my
us, you know,
connection.
I
Probably
hope you
my
had a
connection.
chance to
But
see perhaps
this,
some of this. Right ahead.
I believe I saw some of his reactions in Buxton
And
this
Council,
afternoon by
as
the
we
Green
were-
Shop. I think that is the clip
As
you were
you
trying.
hear, let us bring in opposition, the parliamentary opposition chief whip Christopher Jones, and member of parliament. Chris, welcome.
Hi, good night, Sharon.
Oh.
Good night, Darren, and good night to you, viewers.
Welcome, Chris. Darren was just about to make an intervention about some of the comments of Mr. Irfan Ali on the East Coast today. Right ahead, Council.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. Thank you. I believe it is not comfortable. They have to talk down. I believe that is an issue of panic. He's not confident with what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, that is less. He knows that his government cannot deliver for the people. So what he do? He wants so he has to shout down, because the truth of the matter is, if what you were doing was effective, there was no need for him to behave in that way. The people would see what you're doing, and they would understand, and they would appreciate the work you're doing, and they will show you that love and that respect. You don't have to go and try and fight them down and try, as in Guyana we say, you try to push something down the throat. That would not be the case. The people will know that you're genuine and that you're doing the necessary work.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
Food. Every time you go to the market, something go up. Gas prices. There's nothing. There's no control in Guyana. Everything is going haywire.
And people
So I
are
believe
angry about all
that
of
is
those
the
things.
problem. Is
People
the
are angry about all
inability to
those
deliver
things.
to the people. Yes. So certainly, Sharon, I could only agree with that. What you're saying, people are angry with what is transpiring in Guyana. You know, Guyana is in a terrible state. You know, the suffering, or the suffering rather, that we are going through in Guyana. I have never experienced that in my entire life. I mean, probably buy so food, manage, you know, in relation to bread and butter. You know, it is hard for them. It is hard for them to provide for their children, send their children to school, you know, and some of the mechanisms that were put in place to safeguard and to cushion that. You know, remember the 5Bs, remember the buses taking our children. They take that away and they give you $30,000. But when you do the mathematical for 1 year, when you do the mathematical, Sherrod, it doesn't add up. The bus provide more for you. The school buses provided more for you. You know, all of those meals for the children. I know by schools, but we started to give meals at school. My knowledge, Oprah, and I could be corrected, are no longer there. You know, so it's hard on the parents, and it's important that our people do not be fooled. So it's imperative for us to explain to our people that while it may appear that they come and give you money, they give you this, in relation skills and so forth, the mathematical calculation more. Thank you.
Yeah. Very well, Council. Parliamentary Opposition Chief Whip Christopher Jones, welcome again. I am certain you watch the same events unfolding on the East Coast. What started out as a simple protest, you know, people very upset with the murder of Quindon Bacchus, shot once, and to his chest, I think, and then 5 times to his back. We heard Irfan Ali talk about finding the intellectual authors. I think it was such a poor and abysmal showing by the police force under Mr. Clifton Hickens. Poor response by the police. If anything, the protesters, thousands of protesters were able to take in the real estate on the East Coast so very easily. But here is Irfan Ali talking about going after the intellectual artists when really and truly should be focusing on the incompetence in his administration. I want to get your thoughts on that at the other side of this clip.
Them up. What make you come to these schools? I always come to these. No, ask a question. Today what make you come to these schools? Today I come to deal with this particular issue. Alright, and I respect that, right? The young man who get killed is my family. Yeah. Right? And I never see you come to these schools just this young man here alone. But one thing I want to say, I need justice for my family. But I'm going to tell you. Alright, and I respect you for that. I don't talk. No, listen, I want you here to communication is two-way. Yeah, that's true. Right? The minister reached out. Yeah. I went out to some meeting. Yeah. Okay? I cannot intervene in an independent investigation. That's true. We said it very clear. Yeah. That the police also said it. Yeah, the police complaint authority is supervising the investigation. Yeah, that's true. I called this morning the commissioner. I called the chairman. They assured me that the report will be finished early next week, hopefully on Monday. I'll be honest with you, right? No, but you gotta wait until the report finishes. Yeah, other cases happen and you don't have to wait so long to report. Here now, let us give them until Monday to finish the report. I can't instruct an independent body to finish reporting. Okay. And then you will see what the outcome is. Okay. Right? Okay. Like you, I want justice. Yeah. I want justice for every guy. Yeah. I want justice for those people who are beaten also. Well, let me be honest with you, right? Me no, I don't go in for that time. No, and I agree with you. Right? I put a line to it. So that is why I came out here. So let me be straight with you. I came out here because I don't want this to escalate. Because there are people in the society who want it to escalate. Yeah, straight. There are the intellectual authors, you're the family. Yeah. You know, there are intellectual authors who are trying to use that for other gains. I don't want that for this country.
Among the people shot by police, parliamentary opposition chief whip, Peter Headley, family still waiting for justice. Orrin Boston, family still waiting for justice. Quindon Bacchus, family still waiting for the justice the people said they can deliver. Talk to us.
All right, so Sharon, let me firstly say that the intellectual authors that Irfan Ali was referring to, perhaps at the time he was speaking to a mirror, and essentially he was speaking to himself. Mm-hmm. Why do I say that? Essentially, what we saw today on the East Coast of Demerara, and you got some indication that it would have sparked in a few other regions of this country, is essentially not only a cry for justice, but also a cry to bring an end to inequality that we've seen happening across this country. A lot of the persons who took to the East Coast of the Demerara corridor not only march for justice for the Bacchus boy, but they march for justice in terms of the inequality that we've been having in this country for a number of years. So when Irfan Ali talks about the intellectual authors, he's speaking to himself, because it is his administration who, throughout its 2-year short term, haven't been installed in office. The manner in which they go about giving resources that should be to every single Guyanese and access to resources to every single Guyanese, there is a big inequality as it relates to that. So when you saw people took to the street, it was not only for the Bacchus, but it's a culmination of events that started since the PP was reinstalled in office in 2020. Earlier this morning, I heard Irfan Ali saying that we must trust the process. It is the same Irfan Ali who said to the Henry Boys family in West Coast Bobis that you must trust the process. It is the same Irfan Ali that when it came to the or in Boston events that took place in Dartmouth on the SC Cribble course, he said to the families that you must trust the process. And throughout this period, Guyanese have been trusting the process. But at the same time, as we sit and we watch and we see inequality, doling out of resources and so forth, people get angry. People get upset. If you read a lot of the comments that you see there throughout the day, you see people saying that they are fed up. And not only as it relates to injustices, but inequality and so many other things. So we have been, and that is the AP and UAFC, you have been doing it numerous occasions on your program, Sharon. We have been sounding the alarm bells that if you continue in a manner in which you will spark something that nobody will have any control over. And essentially, you every day you've seen it, and it keeps growing and getting bigger by the weeks, by the month, because of the same inequality that we spoke of. So the protest down the East Coast corridor was not, as I mentioned before, not only for justice for the Bacchus, but several other effects that are affecting the society, and as it relates to discrimination, inequality, just to name a few. That is the reality.
High cost of living. Council Darren Wade, are you surprised? We heard a lot of things coming out of Irfan Ali today, and his administration by extension. But are you surprised? He seemed to have stopped short of when he was talking, particularly about equal justice. He seemed to stop short of condemning the intellectual authors of the murder of Quindon Bacchus. Let's listen to that. I'd love to get your thoughts on the other side.
As I said earlier in my report, we can't take this country in the direction of division. We have to take this country forward together. All of us have to work together. What was done in Monrepo today is totally wrong. And all those who are part of it got to be brought to justice also. You can't beat up people, rob them, burn up the bus, burn up the car. You agree with that? Right? We have to build a fair system. Right? And that system, everybody, rights must be protected, justice must be done. As I said earlier, I have a plan to work with all these countries. Some people don't like to hear that. People with narrow political interests don't like to hear that, but they're not going to stop me. Because I intend to lead the effort of building one Guyana, working every single country.
Sharon, before even Darren comes in, let me jump in right there on this what one would consider nonsensical position that Irfan Ali and his ministers from time to time continue to spew into the public domain, as if Guyanese are not intellectual enough to understand what is happening here. The PPP has always believed that Guyanese are dumb and stupid people. He is talking about building a one Guyana. How could you build a one Guyana when it is blatant that your administration will go to certain communities in certain region and allocate $150,000, $200,000, $250,000, etc. But when you come to my community, you're promising the people temporary jobs. And I'll give you an example. When the very same current disgraced Vice President Barrett Jagdeo was on his crusade to mirror that of Christopher Dudas Coke of Jamaica before the Vice News documentary was made public, he went into their strongholds in Region 6 and he doled out $150,000, $200,000, $250,000, etc. And he did that in several other regions. But when he went to Region 5, which was the last stop that he had a meeting at Fort Wellington and another meeting in Belladrum. But apparently the people in Belladrum and Fort Wellington, they don't need $150,000, $200,000, $250,000. All he went there to promise them is temporary jobs. And people are sitting and asking this, you are seeing this blatantly. And when people are seeing that resources of this country is being doled out to individuals and communities and so forth, strongholds of the PPP, the first question they ask themselves, what about me? What about my village? Don't we want cash grants? Why only certain communities, you're seeing the PPP going in and doling out cash grant as if it's coming out of a Freedom House bank account. These are monies that are coming from the coffers, and therefore every single Guyanese must have equal access. So when Irfan Ali comes and he speaks about building that one Guyana, Irfan Ali believes that every single Guyanese perhaps study at the University of IFLAT, and therefore he and them are on the same level. So therefore he can speak to them about building a one Guyana when people are seeing blatantly before their eyes the discriminatory practice of the People's Progressive Party Civic and what is happening in this country. And I say again, what you saw today on the East Coast corridor is as a result of exactly what I mentioned there before. People are upset, they are fed up, they feel that they have been discriminated against in every area and every facet of this society. When it comes to the police killing, this same pattern was part of the People's Progressive Party Civic's 23 years in administration. I say to people that during that time, the amount of funerals that I have attended on the East Coast of Demerara of young men, 21, 19, 26 years old, their mother, grandmother, their children, their wife, their girlfriend, wailing there for them. And to date, none of them have received the justice that were promised by successive People's Progressive Party civic government. Why does Irfan Ali believe that in his administration, at this time, that anybody believe what he is saying? When you see the pattern has already started to re-emerge, it is the same pattern of what was obtained during the 23 years. Now, Sherrod, you have been keeping count of how many persons have thus far been executed by the Guyana police force. And young Bacchus, he's probably number 8. And if you go all the way back to the first, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh person, their family members are still waiting for the very same justice, the very same that they must trust the process.
Pending some report from somewhere.
Pending some report. They're still waiting. The Henry Bice family are still waiting. Dartmouth Village is still waiting. And the list goes on. Trust what process?
Attorney Lawit. Darren?
Let me unmute. Yes.
Go ahead.
Let me add to what Chris is saying. One Guyana must be a doing phrase. It must be a doing phrase. You must practice what you preach. And that is the problem. Guyana must not be a fantasy or something to hear about on the television. We must feel one Guyana. What is happening in at Wimmon, the quarantine, it was happening at Belgium or Litchfield or Victoria. What is happening at Wales? It must happen in Vel. It must be whatever resource is Guyana, it must be distributed. Issue that you raised in relation to the one Guyana there. It must be a doing word. It must be a doing phrase. There must be action. You know, it must be because
very well.
Could have people on a stage and call one. Black people must be more than your dancers or your singers. We are much more than that, Sherrod. You know, and I like going back to history, you know. And, you know, we did history at UG, we know history, so we know these things, we you know. So we remember when we were taught that when the French came to Guyana, they failed to colonize Guyana. When the Spanish came, they failed to colonize Guyana. When the English came, they failed to colonize Guyana. It's only when the Dutch came, because of the irrigation knowledge, usage, years to dig all those canals that we have today, that we're following conservancies. That is only how it become possible on that coast. So sometimes I ask myself, are our ancestors, if some knowledge, they are them up we were to resurrect them, what will they think? A country that they built, a land that they built with their blood, sweat, and tears, day in, day out. A country that they built, their descendants were never paid for it. They were not paid also. And to see not benefiting today, and the level of discrimination to them, we are discriminating of Indo descent who are supportive to the AP and UFC. Amerindian brothers and sisters who are supportive to us. But when you look to the wider picture, look at the African communities. As I mentioned before, look at the distribution of all of the monies. Up to today, Sharon, we are yet, and I've heard you calling for it, to get the audit. Where's the audit of the 25,000 grand? I haven't received. Please give me the opportunity to say no. Give me the opportunity to give it to the process.
You need to trust the process, according to the president. Those people with the pink slips,
trust the process.
Eventually they will reach to you. Trust the process.
Eventually, but go ahead, Chris.
Right. No, Sharon, I want to come back on the same note with Irfan Ali and the intellectual authors that he mentioned. And, at times you have to keep your people in check and keep reminding them of what is before us. And don't let us get too distracted. If you go to some of the live footage that you saw today, I remember a specific one in which a gentleman from Monrepo was reporting that for some reason or the other, as the crowd advanced along the East Coast coming towards Monrepo, he mentioned that the police kept retreating. And in his view, the police allowed the crowd to get to the marketplace, and that's where you had incidents and so forth. Now, when Irfan Ali speaks about the intellectual authors, for those persons who have been in the hustings of this country for a number of years, and the beast of the People's Progressive Party, Civic, then you will think twice. You will go into critical thinking as to whether or not it was deliberate action to allow people, and that the settings that you have protests, and you have people who invade your protests. I've been a part of so many protests with the PNC, and they were incident free until you had persons who were planted within the ranks of the people to create mischief and so forth. So when Irfan speaks about the intellectual authors, you have to ask yourself whether or not the intellectual authors ensured that the police retreated from that part of Monrepo, so that the agents, John provocateurs, who were planted amongst the people, were able to run through the marketplace, snatching at innocent people's bag, etc., etc., etc. So when you speak about the intellectual authors, that is some of the critical thinking that people have to do when it comes to the People's Progressive Party Civic. I spoke about not being distracted.
Yeah.
Today's event, and particularly as what is being publicized there by the NCN and media houses, pro-PPP media houses, it would sway the entire country's focus. And I want to remind your viewers now, just last week, there was that documentary from Vice News as it relates to the sitting vice president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, allegedly involved in taking bribes. Don't let us be distracted, because this in itself and all that I just mentioned to you could be the very intellectual authors that Irfan Ali spoke about to distract people from that very documentary of the Sue Jagdeo Gate. Don't be distracted.
And as we run that, we're talking about how this protest for the murder of Quindon Bacchus, it's that, and it's more than that. It's a tipping point for a lot of folks who, as we rightfully said, the inequalities, they bear the burden of that. They see other folks getting a lot of money, they're not getting any. They see life moving on for some people, but not for them. And interestingly enough, Christopher and Darren, this is not just the African community we're talking about. For their own people, they see big business contracts being given to Sue. He getting the hotel, he gets all the agreements. He handles all of that. He gets all of the support. They see life moving on for Sue, but the average person doesn't get shuffled into Jagdio's living room and treated to the warmth of the mansion by the sea, right? And one woman at one report market, interestingly enough, expressed her disgust and hurt. You know, this economy is failing Guyanese and people are hurting. You know, not people like Sue, not Jack Dio and his ilks by any means. Listen to what that woman by Monrepo Market said today. Monrepo Market, this is what she said today.
We got 2 children, 28 and 20, and never get a master in the government, never a job. And all the old minister get back job, Eccles Milling. And you go tell me to God, this a time to pick up and pack up and go. No vote. In Batali, no vote. No vote, no vote. And the young government is suffering. In greater time, we never suffer so.
The same thing.
Yes, but they're going to protest peaceful and this one come broke up your market in front of all them. You go tell them, go back and forth. 5 votes lose from the house. I ain't getting a thing. School children get money, disabled get money, what I get. I be $2 where you sell teaching for 2 weeks now a day. You got to pay passage and pay rent. God.
How much you pay for?
Yeah. People are hurting. People are hurting. Why didn't you have this on the Granger administration? Why tear gas wasn't fired? Why rubber bullets weren't fired? You know why?
Yeah.
Issues were addressed and there was justice.
That's right. That's right. No, but no, Sherrod, listen. I saw that recording earlier this afternoon. And that woman touched on exactly the points that we have been making for months. And it is not only in any specific area, but it's across the country, including the PPP's stronghold. But because they're supporters of their party, they want not to embarrass them. But they too are suffering. They too feel the squeeze. And likewise, as I said, as it relates to the cash grants and these things being doled out, it's not a case that people have an issue that people with disability or the fisher folk get cash grant. They have no problem with that. They welcome it because they know they too are suffering. But the question that they continuously ask, what about me? What about my community? The lady mentioned the fact that during Granger administration, that you didn't have a situation like this. You had the now sitting Irfan Ali, albeit squatting in the seat of president, was outside of the Guyana Pegasus Hotel, in which he led a protest, and he was instructing and directing the people to turn over the vehicle of a sitting minister, Dr. Karen Cummins, who was the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That same Irfan Ali who led that protest, and now he's having a problem with protests. He knows the role and function of protest. It was Talma Reed on the occasion of Forbes Burnham's funeral, and he mentioned something that is very profound, and it stayed with me. He said, without destruction, there can be no construction. And he repeated that. Without destruction, there can be no construction. So the incidents that you see happen today, what happened there on the west coast of Belize, what happened there in Dartmouth Village and so forth, it is a destruction so you can construct within your country the laws, the safeguard rails to protect people, that when a police, it is alleged that he or she is involved in a shooting to death of a person, that within days an inquiry is done and the perpetrator is brought to justice and so forth. That is what the destruction calls for. That is the reason for protests. Protest is nothing new. Check and see what is happening currently in Ecuador as we speak. Look what happened in the United States just a few months ago with Floyd. You had mass protests across the country for months, and you were speaking about protests and as if what happened on the east coast of Demerara is something so strange that the Guinness Book of World Record need to put this in the Guinness Book of World Record, that people march down on east coast and they block roads and they burn debris. It is nothing new. That is protest. That is protest. The question that has to be asked, what are you as an administration, now that this is about the 8th incident involving the Guyana police force, and to date families are still calling for justice? What are you going to do about it? But no, as Irfan Ali said to all and sundry, we must trust the process. For the eighth time, we must trust the process. We're not hearing you, sure.
What is the
Interesting enough
process,
that
though? What
Right,
the
Council.
process entails? What is the what the process? What the process entails? What it is?
Based on what, if you
The
go ahead.
PVP cabal upon your future. We cannot trust the PVP. We cannot trust them. We have seen what have transpired by the PPP over the years. We have seen the injustice. What happened, as Christopher, you know, I can't put it better than you. We go back to the 2001, 2003 era. We have seen all of the episodes under the PPP, and there's nothing of the PPP trusted. Sue could have trusted the PPP, as Barry Jack Dio said. Sue deals with all of the agreement. I deals with the issue on the government side. So is that the trust that he's calling? Because basically that's what he was saying to the investors. Trust the system. Trust Sue. Trust me. What have these two persons, everything gonna go well. But
Very
I don't have
interesting.
Sue. I don't have Rajak Dio. I don't know them. As one of you rightfully mentioned tonight, you know, I was not fortunate to go to a fancy house on my stands. I would never be invited there. For me to go and someone is share or value more than the home of the normal Guyanese people. The prices for those chairs is about 20 to 30,000 US dollars. That's like $6 million Guyana dollars for a chair. So I don't know if Jack Dio trust A Ali. So I believe yes, as Christopher Jones mentioned, we need safe. But when we go to the guardrails of the as we mentioned, the guardrails of the Constitution, many of them are not in place. They're not.
Correct. Correct.
When we look at what we look at what is transpiring, there's no Judicial Service Commission. Trust the process. Trust the judiciary. There is no private for us to trust the process with. Or are we going to trust the process with no private commission? If I have a problem with contracts and I want to make a complaint too. What we know for in relation to contract, the people break into Guyana from Trinidad. You see Trinidadian companies getting big contracts.
Yeah.
Big contracts.
Some of them.
A finally friend. You see some of the same person who get contract with A, who get his contracts. You see them with Dubai. When we went for dance and sing for stage, we found in Dubai with camel and riding. We saw that. We are going to trust the process. Are we going to trust? We see in relation to jobs. Or are we going to trust the process whereby you're not employed based upon your education and your qualification? Process is Barajag. Talk to some of these persons who are in position. What they say, oh, the boss called me, or I call the boss, and the boss placed me there. The boss is Barajag Dio, and that is the qualification for job. A qualification for job is knowing Barajag Dio.
But
they said that to me personally. You go to the various ministries and you see persons employed. Go ahead, Sheriff. Sorry.
That underscores that there are two Guyanas, you know, seeming to operate simultaneously, Christopher. You know, something happens at Monrepo, for instance, and again we see what transpired there in terms of people being hurt and harmed should not be part of any protest. And as we said, agents, provocateurs sent by the PPP gonna instigate and do those kinds of stuff. But in a matter of hours, everyone could meet and ready to dole out money. But the same gentleman who can talk about one Guyana and spoke about one Guyana can't meet up to Golden Grove, for instance, can't be there. And while Monrepo gets money, here is what other folks in other community along the East Coast got today, and I'd love your reaction on the other side.
So this is escalating. There's going to be a standoff here now. It appears to be between the police and some bikers. The police have armed themselves. It appears as though... Pull aside, move back. Advancing. This is a standoff here right now. Oh my God. I'm gonna get closer. I'm gonna go behind the police. That escalated very quickly. Missiles are being hurled at the police. I'm going to pull back into the corner, and the police would appear to be arming themselves. Shots! Pull back, pull back, pull back, pull back! Shots! Police are opening fire. Oh my goodness. Pull back, pull back. Cameraman, pull back. Missiles are being hurled at the police. Police open fire. Pull back, watch it, watch it. Just watch your head. Pull back, pull back. Advance. Advance is the call from Mr. Watts. He's armed himself. Shots. Shots. Watch it. Tear gas. Well, live rounds also, I can see that, are being discharged. We are behind the cops, so we can get this action live. But the missiles are being hurled at the police. And shots, live rounds, are also being fired. Live rounds are also being fired. The police, they're shielding, they're going forward, they're advancing to clear the road. Missiles are being hurled at the police, but the soldiers are way behind. Let me see the shot. Oh boy, you were shot. Let me see. Shots, shots. Let's get forward. Shots are being fired. Police are opening fires. It has escalated. Shots are being fired. Tear gas are being thrown. Oh my God. Look. Police are opening fire. The protesters. It appears to be live rounds. Shots, tear gas, live rounds. It's a terrible situation here at Golden Grove on the east coast of Demerara.
Unheard of under the David Granger administration. Down the road, the folks just got money. Put up the road. Shots, shots, shots being fired. One Guyana.
Immediately, Sherrod, and that this will take me back to the sentiments expressed by the lady earlier at Monrepo, that this never happened on the David Granger administration. And as I was looking at the footage there at Golden Grove on the East Coast, or Haslington on the East Coast of Demerara, it took me back to just around elections time in the village of Bath Settlement and parts of Monrepo and Lusignan. And you would recall, and you have those footage in which the Guyana police force had to run for cover and not a single shot was fired. And then when you go further up in West Coast Bobbies, you had the brazen attack on a school bus, ferrying school children that they had to seek medical attention. I remind you viewers about this. You understand me? So when Irfan Ali, again, who led that protest outside of the Guyana Pegasus Hotel, when he was instructing his protesters to turn over the vehicle in which was carrying the then Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Karen Cummins. And it's the same Irfan Ali who now speaking about the intellectual author. but it is cheese to chalk. And the lady that spoke there at Manripo is absolutely correct that nothing of this sort happened under the David Granger administration. And I want to say this to not only your viewers, but those that may have their own opinion associated with the People's Progressive Party, Civic, or whatever. That is your right. You have a right to associate with whatever political party of your choice. But I remind you, protest is nothing new. And what you see happen today on the east coast of Demerara, all parts of the world, the very place that you're trying so hard to get a visa to go and live, whether it's Canada or the United States, had protests way into last year, whether it was Floyd, whether it was the truckers that blocked the road for how many days and so forth. And what you saw, the police did. They maintained law and order in some way, that they were able to prevent looting and attacks on individuals. But people were allowed to walk, to march on the highway, on the freeway. They shut down freeways. And all of this happened across the world. So don't let Irfan Ali or the PPP give you the impression this is nothing new. But then this is your responsibility. You know the saying, Sherrod, where there is a right, there is an equal and corresponding duty. Now, every single Guyanese, irrespective of race, irrespective of his or her political persuasion, have a right to enjoy the perks of this country, have a right to live in peace, have a right to live in a safe environment where their or their family or their property will not be attacked. But where is that right? You have an equal and corresponding duty. Now, there is an injustice that recently occurred, like many that happens in this country, of which a young man, a new father, was shot 5 times, 4 times in his back while running, not shooting, running away.
Correct.
The police claim that they know the individual. They know the individual by name. They know where he lives, so they can go get him anytime. But instead of that, you have a police or policemen pursuing an individual and shooting him with a gun in his back. Subject to correction, I think he was 21 years old. Now,
and
what
6 shots? 6 shots.
Even if you're a PPP supporter, you put yourself in the family shoe just for a minute and think about your 21-year-old son or daughter, that your cell phone rings and you pick up the phone and somebody tell you that your son just gets shot up by the police or your daughter just gets shot up by the police. How would you feel?
Yeah.
If you then put yourself in the shoes of the family of young Bacchus, then you will understand how the people feel. And then therefore, you wouldn't only sit quietly by and watch on, but you too will song your voice for justice because you see it as injustice.
Correct.
No one knows the full details and circumstances because that is left up to the investigators and when they submit their reports. But meanwhile, you have to call for justice to be done swiftly. And I take you back again to Floyd in the United States. Every one of us saw the policeman's knee on his neck. And within hours, you have thousands of Americans, Muslims, Hindus, Christians, Baha'i, Patis, you had whites, blacks, Hispanics, you name it. And they join hands and call for justice because they see the injustice that happened to him. We in Guyana, we believe, because this is how the PPP too brands villages and certain communities. If you come from Haslington, Golden Grove, Buxton, Belladrum, Paradise, Fort Wellington, Hope Town, just to name a few, if you come from them village and the police shoot and kill you, you must have been a thief, man.
Yeah.
That is how the PPP brands villages in this country. And then you have PPP supporters, particularly those on social media. They will tweet that. I saw today a comment. I grabbed it on Irfan Ali's page after he left Buxton. And that person said, "Oh, they're a bunch of stupid people. At least you tried, Mr. President."
Wow.
And that is there on the president's page.
Wow.
You understand me? And it is because of how the PPP continues to paint particularly Afro-Guyanese and Afro-Guyanese communities. And that is how they have their supporters that the instance, as I said before, and I want to repeat it for emphasis, that if you come from any of those mentioned villages or communities, or if you're in Georgetown, you're from Meadowbrook or Tocqueville or Northeast or Penitence or East Rumvelt, West Rumvelt or South Rumvelt, and the police shoots and kill you, a PPP supporter, without even getting the facts, without even reading the papers, without trying to inquire, the minute they hear that a person got shot in that area, oh, he must have been a thief, man. Or he must have been going to commit a crime. And quickly, Sherrod, I take you back again to the PPP 23 years in office. And this is what a lot of people, sometimes we forget or we don't remind the young ones about them. There was a period in this country that if more than 3 black men, black youngster, black person are in a vehicle, the police at that time was instructed that they can pull over, detain, or search that vehicle under the pretext that what? You created a suspicious moving vehicle once you are 3 and more black persons in a vehicle under the same PPP. If youngsters are in their communities and they're standing under the street lights, particularly in the village, you know them buys his lime on the car and so forth. If the police pass and they see more than 3 persons there, they can search or detain you at that time. Yeah. Because why? Under the pretext that you are waiting to commit a crime. Those were offenses in this country under the People's Progressive Party civic that black communities and predominantly Afro-Guyanese suffered under the police force. And the same thing is coming back again. So when you expect Irfan Ali to turn up in Golden Grove, he's not going to turn up in Golden Grove. He's not going to reach Golden Grove. You understand me?
Yeah.
It's been almost a month since the incident. Irfan Ali reached Golden Grove to speak to the family. But within hours,
disrespectful.
When you had the Alu, the Baigan, and so forth got destroyed, Irfan Ali was there to say that you will be compensated. Have no fright.
Irfan Ali is disrespectful.
That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah,
and that's why we speak about the inequality in this country. Yeah. So when he speak about the intellectual authors, the man, the goodly gentleman, is speaking to himself, perhaps knowing or unknowingly, because of what he does and his administration and how they go about doling out resources of this country to certain communities in this country, how they are perceived as treating certain communities as opposed to other communities, is exactly the intellectual authors that is leading this country down a road of which we saw part of that today, and what the AP and UAFC have been saying for months, that unless we curb the situation, unless we stop it, put a halt to it, and bring about equality, we bring about equality and justice in this country is going to explode.
Yep. You know, Darren, as Chris was talking about the comments that were made on a live program early on in the day, and you know, something that was said, you know, we're made to understand that the alleged police who's accused of the murder of Mr. Bacchus, he was also on a live making comments too. The fellow who's under close arrest, but he got access to cell phone, allegedly making comments, putting up Facebook status, putting up WhatsApp status, and all of that. I mean, you cannot help to be incensed by those kinds of things, and also by, you know, what the police dished out in certain segments of the East Coast in this one year that we have, and, you know, money that were doled out other place. Let's take in some of what happened on the East Coast in some other villages. And Darren, I want to get your comments and your thoughts on the other side of it.
What this here? This here? God, what's on Facebook tonight? What your boxer man doing there? The man is a boxer man. I like you putting the boxer man to do there. What you them doing there? What
Yep. Darren?
Thank you, Sharon. What transpired in the other villages are basically comrades, brothers, and sisters feelings for each other. They share struggle, understand, appreciate what is going on. Because today, for you, it's just what, especially on the East Coast, it's what Christopher was saying and what transpired. So they lived through and they saw the dark days and what transpired in Guyana. You know, I learned not only were persons arrested, but you could have killed people and go to certain rich businessmen in Guyana and say, look, them by this when I come for rob you. There's no justice. Extrajudicial killing. Police or phantom squad could have come and shoot you up and then be rewarded for that. They were a cost on your head. One calling so much money for killing a poor. Those were the days. So these people understand the pains of what transpired to that young Bacchus there, especially on the east coast of Demerara.
Yeah.
It probably brings back tears to many of the mothers in Boston and all those villages.
Which is what we heard.
Many of them, the bodies of their sons are today. So I could understand the anger and I could appreciate the pain in those villages on the east coast of Demerara. I can. Oh, Sarah.
Yeah.
Looting, as I mentioned before, is not acceptable.
Indeed.
Alu and the Baigan and the plantain and so on.
Agreed.
Those things could be replaced. But I asked for Ali tonight, Sharon. Can he replace the life of Quindon Bacchus? Can he replace the life of Orin Boston? Can he replace the life of the Henry cousins? Can he replace the life of Harry Singh? Can he rush down to Golden Grove and comfort them? Can he do that?
Never.
That's it. Never. When, especially in the United States, when you see you see it on video, we all saw it. The president will come out and condemn it. Will he condemn the actions of the police on that fateful day? Will he? Certainly not.
Hasn't yet.
So I understand the anger and the pain. As a brother, as a father, and as an uncle, and as a cousin.
Correct. Thank you, Darren.
Sharon, everyone, and as a Christian, let me finish. As a Christian, we all will have to give an account someday, and even Satan will face judgment. So regardless of what you think about Quindon, what are these men? You think they will create a crime or anything? Take them before the court. Actions in your own hand. Let the law, let us trust the process. You see, it is ironic. It is ironic that everyone is asking us to trust the process. When the police did not trust the process with Quindon Bacchus, they killed him. They should have trusted the process. If they felt that he committed a crime, arrested him and taken him into custody, placed him before a duly constitutional and competent court. That is what should have transpired. If you're talking about trust the process, that is the problem. Not killing someone. It is ironic. Something is definitely wrong with Irfan. He's probably running mad, or we think we are fools. And as someone said, we think that all went to the University of Iflot like him.
Correct.
Fake degree, and his fake attitude, and his fake care. That is the problem. That is the problem.
Irfan had 19 fraud charges dropped. I ain't like the process. No reasons given. I like the process. You know, as we wrap up, Christopher Jones, your thoughts to the nation this evening, and then Darren.
Sure.
As we wrap up,
I would say again that Guyanese have been trusting the process from since the People's Progressive Party Civic has been reinstalled in office. And clearly that process hasn't worked. It is not working. You can see the blatant discrimination that is happening across the country. That coupled with high cost of living that is currently affecting people. And then when you have an administration that continues to dole out the resources of this country that should be for every single Guyanese in their strongholds and their communities that do not receive, ask the questions, what about us? What about me? To date, we have not seen the People's Progressive Party Civic live up to their manifesto promise to the public servants to give them a living wage or increase in wages and salaries.
Correct.
The students at the University of Guyana have not seen that PPP manifesto promise about free tuition, free University of Guyana, and they continue to trust the process. I said earlier in the program that what we saw today is a culmination of all that I've mentioned before, that the process has failed. The People's Progressive Party Civic has failed this nation and continues to fail this nation. I say this again, Sherrod. Guyana is now an oil-producing country. We have less than 1 million people. We have land and resources that are so plentiful that every single Guyanese, irrespective of race, irrespective of his or her political persuasion, should be living a comfortable life in which you have a police force that should really be a police service that serve and protect people. That when a police goes out of line, the long arms of justice should reach them immediately or swiftly, and that should be brought. They should be brought to justice and a resolution to that situation. The People's Progressive Party Civic has shown in their 23 years in office, and now that they're 2 years in office, that they are the same political party that believes in marginalization, that believe in discrimination, that believe that injustice to certain groups of people in this country is fine, that the resources of this country could go to some people and not to others, and that is fine. And when those people decide that enough is enough, as part of what we saw today, and they take action that is enshrined in the Constitution that give them that right to so protest their legitimate discontent with what is happening in the country. You have Irfan Ali, who tries to insult the intelligence of the Guyanese people by saying he's looking for the intellectual authors. Irfan Ali needs to look in a mirror, because the intellectual author of all of the injustices and discrimination that we've seen in this country, he is the person and his administration, all of them. And I remind your viewers too, again, Sherrod, don't forget, Sue still handles all the agreements for the People's Progressive Party Civic. And the fact that that damning allegation is still there, that Parajagio accepts bribe, that allegation is still there. So don't be distracted. Keep all of that on the front burner. That is the administration that we're dealing with.
Correct. Council?
Thank you. Closing words. I will want to call once more on the entire Guyana, to remember the Bacchus, the Sandy family rather, and pray for them as they go through this period. You know, he died, he left a child, his child mother, and so forth, and all the loved ones. Let us remember them. Let us be encouraged. You know, the PPP could only do as much as they want, but they cannot do it for long as they want. Let's remember to encourage people daily. Let us remain mobile. Whenever there is a registration period, we need to go out and register. Because Sharon, me, you, and Christopher, we could talk and sing the entire night. But unless we are properly registered and ready to legitimately, whenever even election is called at any point in time, to remove the PPP from government, that is important. We need to speak and to our representatives, and especially I know what I base audience in United States various jurisdictions. Let us encourage them to call the congressmen and call the congresswomen, and ask them to agitate on our behalf. We need a clean list. We don't want what transpired. We were all there at the center myself, you, and Christopher, and what we witnessed. We witnessed the entire Queens and with liberty in our people got up from the grave and get up and they voted for the period. We don't. So we need to create a pitch, a wicket, whereby is equality for all. Whereby we can trust the process. We cannot trust the current process, what is transpiring at GCOM and the decisions that are coming out from GCOM every day. We cannot trust the. So while Ethan is calling us to trust the process, the elements of a trust in the city, we must be able to have official marshal. We may be able to trust. At the end of the day, human beings that are dealing with the process, they must be competent. They must not be biased, and we face that on a daily basis. So persons who are unqualified are having jobs. Persons who are qualified are being terminated for doing the right thing. Because there are instructions. Oh, I should. If you are being asked to do something illegal and unlawful, take evidence. Ensure you have the instructions from above. Take pictures. You have smartphones. All of you have smartphones out there. Take pictures. I know it's me. You could trust Chris. You could trust Sharon. Send it to us. Do not, because I know some of you don't want to go to the public. And if you want to go to the public, ensure you have sufficient evidence. Evidence. Let that be the word in the public service. Because I've been having reports, Sharon, and a point whereby someone wanted to come out with something. They contacted someone and someone said go public, and they didn't want to go public. I understand and I appreciate you don't want to go public immediately. Take the evidence. Take pictures. Send it to us. We are not going to just like that. When we believe safeguard and we believe that we could create innovation, we could do what is right by you and for the Guyanese public, then we're going to do with it. Take the evidence. Take pictures, record them. If you could photocopy, that may catch you easier there. Take pictures, use the camera, whatever method you have, use it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Lord Darren Wade and Parliamentary Opposition Chief Whip Christopher Jones and Member of Parliament. Thank you for your insights this evening on this ongoing issue. Justice for Quindon, Bacchus, and the East Coast standoff. Thanks very much, guys, for joining us this evening.
Most welcome, sir.
That's it, folks. That's our time together.
Thank you for that.
Thank you as well, Darren. Apologies there. Apologies. Some more of what transpired on the East Coast this evening. Some more of what transpired. Yep. Play that again for those of you who might have missed this as we wrap up. Thanks for joining us, guys. That's our program. Thanks for staying with us a little bit over time. And I really want to thank this family on the East Coast who allowed me to come and use a quiet space in their home at very, very short notice. Thank you so much, guys, from the bottom of my heart and the entire FYI team. We're not in studio this evening, but we're so grateful that you give us a little space in your home that allowed us to do this. Daniel Thomas, we see you there. Jack Power, Allens, and Indrani Likaram, Yvonne McPherson, Charmin Morris, Melissa Smith, and Denise Booker, Jeanette Fongafat. We see all you guys, Jamal, Aziz, and Stacey and Stoll, John Nelson, all the usual folks. We see you guys and we feel your love and your support. Remember to smash that emoji button, share the broadcast, and others get credible, valid information, folks. Credible and valid information. And remember to partner with us as well. That's our time. That's our program. Stay well, folks. Stay safe.